Right now, if you start crying, something invisible can happen to the people around you. Their anger can drop. Their guard can fall. They want to help you. Everyone, that is, except your ex. Your ex is immune. And in 2023, scientists ran an experiment that stunned them. It all started with a jar of odorless tears. Your emotional tears might be one of the strangest things your body makes, because as far as we know, no other animal on Earth cries the way you do. You actually produce 3 completely different kinds of tears. Type 1, basal tears, the thin layer always coating your eyeballs. Type 2, reflex tears, the flood when you chop an onion. And no, sobbing over an onion does not count as processing your feelings. Type 3, emotional tears, the ones that come straight from your feelings. Almost every land animal has the first 2, but the third kind? That's the mystery. Only humans seem to cry them. And for over a century, scientists couldn't agree on why. Even Charles Darwin was stumped by this. If you don't know him, Darwin's basically the guy who figured out how life on Earth evolved. In 1872, he looked at emotional tears and basically gave up. He called them purposeless, a pointless accident of evolution. Bold words from a man who once spent 8 years studying barnacles. But it turns out tears probably do have a job, a sneaky one. Back to that 2023 experiment, because it's a strange one. Scientists at the Weizmann Institute collected real tears from women who cried at sad films. Somewhere, a researcher's whole job was catching human tears in a jar. Dream career. They made those tears completely odorless, no smell at all. Then they had men sniff either those tears or plain salt water. Next, the men played a game built to make them aggressive. The men who sniffed the tears became 43% less aggressive. It was one small study, only a few dozen men, but the brain scans backed it up. Scans showed the brain regions that fuel aggression turned down. A similar calming effect even shows up in mice sniffing each other's tears. The lead scientist called tears a chemical blanket against aggression, which technically makes crying a non-lethal weapon. The military hasn't called. Yet. So your tears may not be just water. They might carry a message, sent through the air. But why would a body ever evolve crying? Rewind a few million years. Almost every baby mammal is born with one survival tool: a cry. They cry to summon a parent. Scientists call it a separation call. But crying out loud has a deadly problem. Sound travels in every direction, including toward predators. A screaming baby is basically a dinner bell for anything hungry. In most animals, that loud cry fades away as they grow up. Humans are strange in 2 ways at once. We keep crying our entire lives, and we alone shed tears you can see but not hear. Here's the leading idea. Tears are the quiet version of that baby's scream, and real, flowing tears are almost impossible to fake, which is why actors who cry on cue get Oscars, and the rest of us get, "You okay?" Try to cry real tears on command right now. You can't. That makes tears what scientists call an honest signal. When you see someone truly cry, a deep part of you senses it's real. One theory goes even further, and it's all about your blurry vision. When you cry, you literally can't see well enough to defend yourself. So tears may quietly say, "I've lowered my weapons. I'm no threat." Like a white flag, made out of salt water. Careful though, the scientist who proposed this admits it's still just a theory. If your brain likes questions like this, Please subscribe. Does crying really move other people? A huge study says yes. Researchers tested it across 41 countries and 7,000 people. They showed the exact same face, once dry, once with tears added. People rated that tearful face warmer and more worth helping. And across every culture, people said they'd want to reach out and help. In another study, people saw a crying partner as more honest and trusted them with more of their money. So apparently, the fastest way to get a loan is to cry at the bank. Please don't. These pulls are real, but gentle. Nudges, not mind control. Still, it all adds up. Tears act like social glue. Now, let's kill a myth you've absolutely heard before. Crying flushes toxins and stress out of your body. It sounds amazing. It's also basically not true. This idea came from a single scientist back in the 1980s. He found emotional tears had a bit more protein and a few hormones. But those extras are tiny traces floating in what's basically salt water, enough to whisper a signal, nowhere near enough to flush anything out of you. And no solid study has ever shown crying actually detoxes you. Sorry to every scented candle that promised you a cleansing cry. You're not a sponge wringing out your sadness. Here's an even bigger one. A good cry always makes you feel better. One review found that 94% of media stories treat crying as a healthy release. The actual science is way messier. One diary study tracked over 1,000 real crying episodes. Only about 1 in 3 actually improved the person's mood. Most of the time, people felt just as bad or worse afterward. So when does crying genuinely help? Almost only when someone comforts you. Crying alone in the dark? Usually just crying in the dark. So why cry alone with no one to see? Because the signal fires on the feeling, not the audience. Tears are for connection, not a reset button. But wait, are we truly the only ones who tear up? In 2022, a study found something adorable and confusing. When dogs reunite with their owner, their eyes actually well up. It's driven by oxytocin, the same bonding chemical we have. Meanwhile, your cat has never once been happy to see you, except at dinner. But here's the catch. A dog's tears don't roll down the face. So dogs may feel the spark, but full, rolling tears still seem to be ours alone. Here's another twist. Newborns cry with no tears at all. Nature shipped babies with the screaming feature, but tears as a later update. Real tears usually show up around 1 to 3 months old. One scientist suspects baby tears may exist to switch off adult anger, a helpless human who can't even talk, disarming you with salt water. That part's a hypothesis, to be fair, but a beautiful one. So who actually cries the most? On average, women report crying more often than men. Men, meanwhile, mostly save it up for one specific dog movie. But the gap isn't really about who suffers more. Strangely, it's biggest in rich, free, equal countries. Where people feel freer to show emotion, the gap grows. Before puberty, boys and girls cry at almost the same rate. So crying isn't weakness, it's expression, and some cultures allow more of it. So, after all of that, why do we cry? Not to detox, not to magically reset your mood. Our best answer is that somewhere in our evolution, tears quietly became words. A silent signal that says, I'm hurting. I'm no threat. Please come closer. It can soften the fists of enemies and pull in the hands of friends. Maybe the most human thing you can do is fall apart in front of someone. The person crying in front of you is handing you a signal they can't fake, and trusting you not to run. So next time your eyes start to sting, maybe don't fight it. Someone's brain is already, quietly, listening. Someone, that is, not your ex. Your ex is still a lost cause. Your body has stranger tricks than tears, and the next video is one of them. It's on your screen right now. See you there.